Welcome back, everybody, to another Flashpoint 3 team interview where I've got the absolute pleasure of being joined by karrigan on the side of FaZe. And I first of all wanted to ask about your reintegration back into the FaZe roster. How's it been for you in these past couple of months, getting reintegrated back into the team with some new players around you?
It has been a bumpy road, not the start I wanted, but I came right before some tournaments, so obviously didn't have a lot of time to work with the team, and also not meeting the guys before 20 days ago we started bootcamping. But it's a different FaZe Clan we come into, right? That's only Rain from who I started playing with back in the days, so it's a different new look of FaZe Clan, and also, for my opinion, when I came into the team, there wasn't a clear identity of how they want to play CS or anything. So it's basically starting from scratch, right? And get to know the players, get to know how they want to play. Because Nico leaving, obviously as the in-game leader and the star player of the team, that's big shoes to fill in all teams, right? As an identity, but also how you want to play CS.
Yeah, there's a couple of things I want to pick up on there. First of all, just comparing the two FaZe lineups that we've seen you be on in your career. How would you kind of compare them? Maybe the similarities and differences, as you were saying, it's only really Rain that's a staple part of both of those rosters as well. So what kind of differences do you see in this version of FaZe?
I think it's different because when I was in FaZe, right, the first iteration of FaZe was like JKim, AC, Rain, and Elu, right? But that was not the FaZe we were in the end with Olofmeister and Guardian, which became really good, right? So obviously have to get to know the guys and see how they play. I see a lot of potential in different players. So it's up to me and the coach to kind of think how we're gonna fulfill the potential of the lineup, right? So people have to get back into shape, and I start to see that. I think when I came into the lineup the first few days, I don't think everybody played to their individually potential, and then it's always hard to win as a team, right? You need to shoot good back at the enemy. So that's something we've been working on really hard. So I believe we can show some potential now, from what I've seen in practice at least. So yeah, so to finish off, it's a very different FaZe Clan compared to the one I got benched from. But I think we can get to the same situation and the same placings at tournaments which we had in the end.
Yeah, I wanted to pick up on something you said about identity as well. You kind of felt when you said when you came back into this lineup that you felt like there wasn't that kind of clear-cut identity and where the team was moving towards. So what did you kind of bring in terms of finding that identity? Where do you feel like the identity of FaZe is going to be?
It's a really tough question, right? I always like to work with the idea of I need to get to know the guys, I need to put them out the comfort zone, put them in their comfort zone, different stuff, try out different positions. Also, which role classes do we have in the team, what maps are good, what maps are bad. And also one of the things, right? I've always been a caller who fills the gap. So if there's an entry frag needing, I'm going to do that. So from coming from Mousesports to FaZe, I need to find my place in the lineup where am I going to be very aggressive player to create space, or I'm going to be more the mid-round guy to fill in the gaps that needed in the round. So I think with this time, I think we started to find that identity team who has to play aggressive, who has to play a little more passive, who has to take the most initiative in the team when somebody's dead. All that kind of stuff, right? That's what I mean. There wasn't a clear identity on how they want to play CS. I think every player had their own identity. Brokey is a very aggressive over, but also can be very passive. Godzilla is a very passive lurker. So for me, that was two clear-cut roles. And then for me, Rain has been not in his prime role for 2 years since I left, right? So that's one of the guys I'm trying to get back in form as well, put him in the right spots. And also test him a little bit now because he got more experienced, and he's not the same player as he was 4 years ago, but we have to figure out how we can make him as good.
So how far do you feel like you are along the journey for finding FaZe's identity? Where do you feel like you are in terms of this building process currently?
I mean, I would like a bigger steps when it comes to the results, right? The results haven't been good, but I think we're moving in the right direction. You always wanted to move faster. But also think with the players we have, also a guy like Twist who is coming back into form, in my opinion, right? So if you get him at his peak form, then suddenly we are talking about very, very high-skilled team, right? If we can fill all the gaps. So it's right now, it's still a test phase. I know people want results, but we have to figure out how we want to play as a team. So all that, it's baby steps for now, but also believe we just have like 2 or 3 wins in a row. I think you're gonna see a different team with a lot of confidence. Because look at the players, right? That nobody had confidence the last 2 years. If you look at all the players, nobody besides Trish maybe, but last year was tough on him as well, right? So everybody in this lineup had a rough year. And I'm coming in, I'm trying to make everybody really confident, right? It's gonna take time, and with time, I think we are going the right direction right now.
Yeah, is there anything you do to kind of help the players sort of re-find that confidence, or does it kind of depend on a player-by-player basis in terms of what they need from you as an in-game leader?
I always love to talk to the player, to get to know how they feel, right? Is there something they're uncomfortable with? Is there something we can do about it? Is there something in their playstyle they need to change? Or do I need to put in a different role? Do I need to set them as the third guy on the side? All that kind of stuff I'm trying to talk with the players about. But I also think one key element is that I'm working so hard, and I also think that spreads to the team, right? So if I'm setting a good example on how we should work as a team, how we should work individually, and they see me as the first in the office and me as the last guy going from the office, they want to grind as well, right? So if I'm setting a prime example on how we should work as a team, I think I can lift everyone up by that, right? So talking and leading by example is the best way you can get people back in shape, in my opinion. And so far, bootcamp, I think I've seen what I wanted to see.
Yeah, let's talk about that bootcamp a little bit. You said that you've been in here for a number of days now. So what have the progress sort of been like for the team? What have you been focusing on with the other players as well?
I mean, we have been here 20 days, and we're going to play the arm out tournament from here, so we could be here potentially 40 days. Also, that's one of the strange things, right? I joined the lineup. We play online for 1.5 months. Haven't really met the guy. Haven't had the synergy, and it's really hard to work with people online as it does on LAN. When you know the guy, you get to know their personal life. You see how they're reacting instead of online. You just hear the voice, right? So you can see if something is wrong. So for now, I think we have really good chemistry. We had that online as well, but also seeing how it can be outside the game, right? Because when it comes back to LAN, normally you need a good synergy. You need to be able to hang out and talk about other stuff than only CS, right? So the bootcamp's been good. I would say we had good preparation online. For me, everything is as it's supposed to be. It's just the results hasn't been there, and I also think if you take a closer look to the details of the games, we are losing to ourselves. And for me, that is very comfortable to see that we are actually not losing because we get outplayed. We are losing by minor mistakes, misunderstanding, communication, and if you have 5% more aim as well, then it's a different outcome, right? So we have the cards in our hand, and we just have to play them right.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that. It's sort of almost just losing to yourself, you feel like. So can you kind of put into words how you feel like you rectify that as an in-game leader? If you're seeing these, you're seeing what you want to in practice, but not the results sort of transferring into those officials. Where do you kind of start in terms of rebuilding the team after that?
I mean, you take key pieces out, right? So what I hate to do is, this is the 5 mistakes you do, 5 different things. Well, you have to take one by one, right? What is the most important thing? Okay, we need to work on communication. Okay, we need to create keywords that means a different meaning, so we know what to do in specific scenarios. Okay, so work on the communication. Less stressful, no repeating information, be calm when we play, so everybody can play better individually. Then you take, okay, we're losing anti-egos. Okay, that's easy fix. That's on my shoulders to try to get the guys to understand how we need to play, how we need to react, and get the guys' input on what they think is good. So that's my responsibility to work on that. And that has been a key issue in our game so far, right? As long as you take something away from each game, right? You can't always say, yeah, we just lost. Like you have to go into the small detail. There might be one round you learned from the game, or you learn 10 rounds, like how we should play CT side and nuke. Whatever, right? It can be everything. As long as you learn and you move forward with something for the next practice day, and also think bringing that mindset into the team, they know each day is just not play to play, but we actually improve on something from yesterday. So I'm trying to keep all the pieces together and just move step by step, because we're not gonna be the best team in the world in one day, but they're gonna take months or weeks. Who knows, right? So. As long as we have the stepping stone, that we have the mentality, and that's one thing we didn't have in FaZe Clan. We didn't go through so many mistakes. So that's something that I learned in Mousesports with playing with younger players. We need this structure of how to work on mistakes and to improve as team. And that's something I brought from Mousesports to FaZe as well, and I think it's gonna be really good. And I'm just looking forward to the coming weeks.
Yeah, I did want to ask about the sort of comparison in terms of the in-game leading style that you were deploying in Mousesports. As you were saying, a lot more younger players there versus when you come into FaZe, we've got a lot more, staple names. We've got the likes of Twist, who you were saying, isn't necessarily lacking that confidence coming into things. We've got Rain as well, who's been a staple part of the FaZe lineup too. So how different do you have to be as an in-game leader in terms of, the different types of players that we see on the side of Mouse versus coming into FaZe?
I mean, obviously, the first thing to mind comes micromanagement, right? I think everybody in this FaZe lineup know how to play CS, know how to play the XVX situations, right? So there's less dictating of me in those rounds where I have a crucial voice, where I felt like experience would lack in my old team in Mousesports, right? So that's one thing I have to take out of my game. Okay, focus more on my game, less micromanaging, and players should on this team have the experience to fill in the gaps I need them to fill, right? So trying to put less responsibility on me, I think in Mouse I had to do a lot to kind of making sure everybody's on the same page. So there is a key element is experience is different here, right? But Mouse had really talented players, really young players, hungry players. So here you have to work with the team. And that's also what I said. I don't know what my role is yet. I'm going to figure out how can I make everybody else happy on the team. And now I will pick out the gaps I need to fill. And in Mousesports, I was a very aggressive caller. So that's something I'm trying to experiment here in FaZe now. How aggressive do I need to be? Do I need to be the guy that's left in the 3-on-3 and make sure that everybody's on the same page? Or can I be the very aggressive player and creating space? So it's a testing phase. And I know that once everybody's happy, I can start working on what I need to improve on immediately in the way we're playing.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally. And looking forward to your first game here at Flashpoint 3. It's going to be up against your former teammate in Nico on the side of G2. So what are your thoughts initially coming up against him as your first game?
I mean, it's a little annoying, right? We haven't played so much, but we're playing the same teams over and over again. And like I said to the guys, we don't know if G2 is a big counter to the way we play. We don't know if they have some mental edge above us. One thing we just know, we have lost 2 times and 2 crucial moments, obviously in the Pro League and in the qualifier. So playing different teams would be preferable, just to see where we are. Maybe we are playing good against CS teams. We don't know yet, right? We only know from practice results. So I'm looking forward to the game. I think we lost 16-14 on the last map, on third map. So we had the chance, obviously, right? So I think we can easily beat them if we meet up to playing our A game. But if we don't, it's going to be a really tough game.
Yeah, reflecting back on those 2 recent losses we've seen against FaZe and G2, do you think there were any kind of any improvements that you look back on those games and go, we should have been doing this differently? Is there anything you're sort of going to be shaken up coming into this rematch again?
Yeah, obviously improving our map pool, right? That's a key thing. We know we have some good maps. And I think Antigua has been something that we've been lacking. We had too little focus on. Now that has been a focus point to make sure that when we actually break the enemies in money, that we can actually get rounds out of it, right? So that's been a key thing. I think all our T-sides game plan and how we move a CT has been good. So just come down to the minor details, and we have worked on them, try to take out some exam from practice, how we can improve on that, and we did that the past week. So it's the best practice week we had since I joined, so that makes me comfortable going into the tournament. But everybody knows it's on the day, the match, it counts all, right? So, but coming in with confidence is always good. Now we just need a little bit of luck on our side, and I think we can go far in this tournament.
So having faced G2 and lost out to them twice recently, would you consider them your biggest rivals, or are there any other kind of teams, maybe Mousesports, that you consider to be your biggest rivals at this RMR?
At this point, there's no rival for us. We don't know how we match up against anyone, but obviously there is some kind of storyline against G2. Cannot lie, right? Nico leaving, I'm coming back. So yeah, it might be a rivalry, but I have it this way that it's hard to be a rivalry if you can't beat them, right? So if you start beating them and we meet them next time, we beat them again, and stuff like that, then you can create a really good storyline. But for now, G2 has just been the better team than us. They're ranked 5 in the world. We're not even close to that. So for now, we just take game by game, and if there's a rivalry in the upcoming months, I'm happy to be part of stuff like that. But for now, I'm just focused on the game ahead, one map at a time. And if we beat them, we beat them, and just means we're the better team that day.
So if you're looking at your team and you want to make a single big change to it, is there a single biggest difference you think you need to be making to be catapulting FaZe back to the top?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it is getting everybody in video form again. I think if you look at the lineup, you see huge potential, right? If everybody goes off at the same time or just one player goes off, we have big chance to win a match. So it's been my responsibility has to been how can I make them the most comfortable they feel, and now it's up to them to live up to their own expectations and also my expectations, and that means working hard if they're having a slump or they're playing bad, right? As long as I see people are working hard, they get my utmost respect, and I know if I respect them really much, then I know they're going to deliver on the server and they respect me. So working hard if it goes bad, and I think that's the mentality I want to see. So the change of mentality during this bootcamp where we lost and people just went on the server directly working hard, that shows me that even though it's maybe with some older players, they still have it in them. They hate losing, they want to win as bad as I want, and I think that's the change I want to see, how people actually react in FaZe when we're here at bootcamp, to see them work really hard.
And in terms of the players, or you facilitating the players to find that comfort, are there any kind of specific examples that you've done with any of the players in the FaZe roster that has allowed them to sort of find a bit more comfort? Any kind of key changes that you've seen or you've implemented that you could kind of maybe explain to us?
Yeah, like you will probably see some of the maps. Rain has a more passive role. He has been a hard entry fragger for I don't know how many years since I joined FaZe. He's like 4 or 5 years. Been first entry fragger and second entry fragger. So I tried to put him out of his comfort zone into some lurk roles, and see how he plays, because he's a very clever player and he can go for it a little more instead of always being micromanaged in how we play the default, right? So a little more freedom to that guy as well, and I've seen in practice what he can do with it. So I think that is one of the examples where I put someone maybe outside his comfort zone or something new, instead of playing the same role for 5 years. That's pretty boring if you ask me.
Well, karrigan, always a pleasure to get to catch up with you. Thank you so much for your time, and best of luck as we come into your first match of Flashpoint 3.
Thank you very much.